I shouldn't have, honestly. Like, some of these things are the reason that the enemy decides to go ahead and let you be famous, is your ability to tear down your own kind, no matter how high they are.
The internet has once again reignited a conversation that refuses to die: the infamous clash between Katt Williams and Wanda Smith. What began years ago as a seemingly harmless radio interview turned into one of the most viral moments in comedy history. And now, thanks to resurfaced clips and social media debates, that moment is being re-examined all over again. But this time, there's a twist. Dave Chappelle has weighed in, offering a brutally honest perspective on why Katt Williams humiliated Wanda that day, and his take has everyone talking. According to Chappelle, what happened wasn't just comedy. It was a cultural moment that revealed the unspoken tension between truth, ego, and authenticity in entertainment. To understand what led up to that moment, it's important to revisit the setting.
This might be the noblest of professions. Robin Williams had a bar that I loved. He said comedy is the only job you can have where you can use everything you know. And that's true. You can use more than you know. You use what you think. Use it. Don't be afraid. Don't let these bitch-ass niggas button your lip.
The viral clip comes from a 2018 interview on Atlanta's Frank and Wanda in the Morning Show, where Katt Williams appeared to promote one of his comedy shows. Wanda Smith, a local radio personality, engaged in light banter with Katt, but things escalated quickly when the jokes turned personal. Within seconds, Katt went from playful teasing to surgical roasting, dismantling Wanda's comebacks with precision, intelligence, and speed. The moment he started listing his comedy credentials, 7 Emmys, countless sold-out shows, and stand-up specials, the energy shifted. Katt wasn't just defending himself, he was asserting dominance in a space that tried to humble him. The internet exploded after that segment aired. Clips circulated everywhere, with fans declaring Katt's performance a masterclass in verbal warfare. But behind the laughs, there was tension. Some felt Katt went too far, especially when his jokes turned from playful to personal, targeting Wanda's weight, career, and home life. Others argued that Wanda started it by underestimating Katt's sharp wit, forgetting that comedians are professionals at turning words into weapons. The interview became an instant case study in how quickly humor can turn hostile, and how public humiliation can shift from entertainment to empathy, depending on who's watching. Enter Dave Chappelle's take. In recent discussions, Chappelle didn't excuse Katt's behavior, but he also didn't condemn it outright. Instead, he broke it down as an example of what happens when real comedians are pushed into corners. According to Chappelle, Katt wasn't attacking Wanda, he was defending the art form. He explained that comedians like Katt, who live by raw honesty, are often put in situations where they're forced to choose between staying silent or proving their worth. In his view, that viral exchange was about pride, pressure, and the expectation for Black comedians to always be humble, even when faced with disrespect.
If you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm gonna try to take everything away from you. And I don't care when I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out, you're fucking finished. Who's that?
Chappelle's breakdown has reignited debate about what really went down that day. Was it bullying or brilliance? Was Katt wrong for taking it that far, or was he simply reacting to someone trying to challenge him on his own turf? According to Chappelle, the answer lies in understanding Katt's story. A comedian who's had to fight for his place in an industry that rarely gives second chances. That moment on the radio, he says, wasn't just a roast. It was a survival instinct. The now legendary Katt Williams versus Wanda Smith roast wasn't just funny, it was layered. Dave Chappelle's recent comments peeled back those layers, highlighting how that radio clash was bigger than two personalities exchanging insults. It was a reflection of a comedian under pressure, battling public perception, professional competition, and cultural expectations all at once. In Chappelle's view, Katt's explosion on Wanda wasn't random. It came from a place of exhaustion, the frustration of being constantly underestimated despite decades of excellence. Chappelle pointed out that the interview started like most promo stops, light, fun, and full of jokes. But the tone shifted when Wanda tried to challenge Katt's reputation. She made playful jabs about his appearance, cooking skills, and career, harmless to most, but triggering for someone who spent years fighting off media narratives painting him as unhinged or washed up. Katt's comeback was immediate and unrelenting. He flipped her jokes back on her, amplifying them with his signature blend of truth and sarcasm. Within minutes, Wanda's laughter turned to discomfort, and the studio energy went from comedic to confrontational. To many, it was one of the most ruthless roasts ever caught on camera. But Chappelle's insight revealed the psychology behind it. He said Katt wasn't trying to destroy Wanda. He was trying to reclaim control in a setting where he felt cornered. When people like Katt are pushed, they don't respond like normal folks. They respond with precision, because words are their weapon, Chappelle explained. He added that the exchange showed how comedians often navigate fragile spaces between humor and hostility, especially when the line between comedy and disrespect becomes blurred. Chappelle also noted something that many fans missed: the power imbalance. Wanda was a radio host with the mic, the studio, and the audience on her side. Katt was a guest, outnumbered, and expected to perform. When she underestimated his verbal skill and went toe-to-toe, she accidentally triggered one of the most intense comedic takedowns ever broadcasted.
That really bothered me.
From the Atlanta Comedy Theater in Gwinnett County, you can see Wanda Smith and her husband by the front door. Watch it.
That's like stepping into the ring with a heavyweight when you ain't trained for a fight, Chappelle joked during one of his own performances. You don't play with words against a man who's made millions from them. The aftermath was messy. Wanda later claimed that the roast crossed the line and that it left her humiliated. The situation escalated further when reports emerged of an altercation between her husband and Katt outside the studio days later. Though details of that incident remain murky, it added fuel to the already raging fire. Fans took sides, some saying Wanda deserved it for trying to clown Katt, others saying Katt went too far by turning comedy into cruelty. But through all the noise, Chappelle's analysis offered balance. It wasn't about good versus bad. It was about misunderstanding between two performers who didn't realize how fast the situation was spiraling out of control. That's the beauty and danger of unscripted moments. Katt Williams, with his unmatched comedic instincts, turned what was supposed to be a promotional chat into a raw demonstration of why he's one of the most dangerous comedians alive. As Chappelle put it, that wasn't hate. That was art under pressure. What makes Dave Chappelle's interpretation so interesting is how he connects Katt's outburst to the broader struggle of being a truth teller in an industry built on image. Chappelle, known for his own battles with cancel culture and media manipulation, understands that when comedians like Katt speak freely, the line between funny and offensive gets weaponized. He described the Wanda moment as a survival scene, a comedian showing that his sharpness hadn't dulled even after years of media narratives painting him as unstable. Katt didn't go on that show looking for a fight. But once he was tested, he reminded everyone why his mind operates on a different frequency. Chappelle highlighted how the situation also revealed a double standard in comedy. When white comedians roast each other, it's considered clever banter. But when two black comedians exchange sharp words, it's instantly labeled as hostility or beef. That difference, he argued, exposes how the culture often misreads humor within its own community.
It's you.
So I did not want to go back and forth with Katt Williams like that. That bothered me so bad.
Katt's style, quick, confrontational, and fearless, is part of his genius. But it's also what makes people uncomfortable when he turns that same energy inward toward his own people. Chappelle described it as too real for radio, meaning Katt doesn't separate his comedy from his reality. He lives his punchlines. Over time, the Wanda interview became symbolic. It wasn't just remembered as a roast. It became a lesson in power dynamics, pride, and perception. Comedians like Katt operate in spaces where authenticity is everything. They don't filter their truth for comfort, and that's what makes them unpredictable. Chappelle pointed out that Wanda, though unintentionally, walked into a verbal storm without realizing it. Her casual teasing touched nerves that represented years of frustration, betrayal, and constant public ridicule. The moment she tried to clown Katt on air, she reopened wounds that the industry had inflicted long before she did. Katt's retaliation wasn't premeditated, it was instinctual. He dismantled Wanda with rhythm and precision, not just roasting her, but using her words as fuel. Every joke he made hit harder than the last, not because it was mean-spirited, but because it was rooted in truth. That's what made people laugh and cringe at the same time. Chappelle's breakdown made it clear that this wasn't about humiliation. It was about dominance, and about a man reclaiming his space after years of being doubted. Katt reminded everybody that the funny don't fade, Chappelle said. Even now, years later, that moment remains one of the most analyzed clips in comedy history. It's taught in discussions about timing, confidence, and control. It's also a cautionary tale about respect, knowing when to play and when to recognize that the person you're joking with is operating on another level entirely. Chappelle's commentary turned that viral moment into something deeper, a reminder that great comedians don't just tell jokes, they expose human nature in real time. And sometimes that truth hits harder than anyone expects. In the end, the Katt Williams and Wanda Smith interview stands as one of those unforgettable moments where entertainment, ego, and emotion collided. And Dave Chappelle's insight has reframed how people see it. He didn't justify the humiliation, but he explained it, breaking down the psychology of what happens when a sharp mind like Katt's feels cornered in a world that constantly challenges his credibility.
I do a really nice broccoli. They like my broccoli and they love my baked chicken.
Hey, right now, look up your phone and see what it takes to make broccoli, and tell me does it say heat up water? Is that the only step in broccoli? Heat up water? Simmer. Have you ever heard of burned broccoli? Can you burn broccoli?
And now
That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all niggas is the worst motherfuckers I've ever tried to entertain in.
According to Chappelle, the exchange wasn't just about two people arguing. It was about the pain that comes from being misunderstood, dismissed, and provoked in public. The renewed conversation about the interview has also reignited questions about cancel culture. Every few months, people online try to cancel Katt over that moment, labeling it as disrespectful or misogynistic. But as Chappelle pointed out, you can't cancel truth, you can only misinterpret it. Katt's delivery may have been harsh, but the honesty beneath it struck a chord that comedy rarely dares to reach anymore. That's why, even years later, people still dissect that exchange frame by frame, quote by quote. It's not just entertainment, it's cultural documentation of how fragile egos and raw talent collide on live radio. For Chappelle, that's what separates real comedians from entertainers. He said Katt's roast wasn't about being funny, it was about being fearless. He explained that true comedians don't play it safe, they challenge everything, even when it backfires. And while Wanda's reaction was human, shock, embarrassment, defensiveness, it was also a reminder that in comedy, every word carries risk. When humor turns into truth, someone's pride always gets bruised. Since that day, Katt Williams has continued to double down on authenticity. His stand-up specials have only gotten sharper, his interviews more insightful, and his refusal to conform even stronger. Meanwhile, Dave Chappelle's own commentary on moments like this has become part of a larger conversation about freedom of speech and creative expression in entertainment. Both men, though very different in tone and approach, share a similar philosophy: speak your truth, even when it makes people uncomfortable. The irony is that what was once seen as a moment of humiliation has now been reframed as a moment of artistic brilliance. Katt's performance on that radio show has become iconic, not because he won an argument, but because he exposed how power, humor, and truth interact when they collide. Chappelle's insight turned what could have been dismissed as a petty exchange into a timeless example of how comedy reflects reality, unfiltered, unpredictable, and brutally honest. In the end, the Katt versus Wanda moment isn't about who was right or wrong. It's about what it revealed: the fragility of pride, the cost of authenticity, and the unspoken rules of respect in a world built on performance. And with Dave Chappelle's breakdown breathing new life into the conversation, fans are reminded why both he and Katt remain some of the most powerful voices in comedy today. They don't just make people laugh, they make people think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Celeb Coded for more deep dives, cultural breakdowns, and the real stories behind the biggest moments shaping comedy and entertainment today.